Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snipes Castle, the U.S. Navy Sailors Podcast. I'm your host, retired Senior Chief Darrell Starks, and we have another one of our Forrest Sherman shipmates we are going to speak with today. This Forrest Sherman shipmate started out as an undesignated seaman, then striking to one of our oldest Navy ratings in boatswain's mate. She then went on to cross rate and become an NC. She was a standard presence at all re-enlistments and command ward ceremonies on Forrest Sherman. She has helped many sailors on their journey to fruitful careers in the Navy. Are there some command career counselor horror stories? I guess we'll find out. So please welcome our shipmate, retired Navy career counselor, Chief Petty Officer, Surface Warfare, Bethany Hale, to the show. Welcome there, Bethany, to the show.
Hi, how are you?
How you been doing?
I'm doing good. How
Doing
about
good.
yourself?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Getting older each year.
Are we all?
You don't got that Navy PT to keep me in shape, so I got to do it. On my own.
Right? It's much harder, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, man. Especially if you got us food around now, and you can't eat 3 times a day.
Right.
Oh man. So what I want to do is I want to share something. I know you've seen it before, but I'm gonna share it. All right. Oh no. Here we go.
Uh-oh.
Oh, this is our command career counselor. She tries to keep you running, Navy.
Oh, that was so long ago. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, where are you originally from?
I am originally from Maine, a small little town about an hour and a half north of Portland. It was very small, very small.
Very
We had
small.
like 6 counties going to one school, so it was
You know,
crazy.
I forgot what ship I was on. We pulled up in there. I know they had a good time. It was a nice port. I can't remember what port we pulled into up in Maine, but that's my first time in Maine. And I also heard one of my buddies. I think he's up there. He got a job up there at one. Y'all got a sub
Yeah, I mean,
base up there?
there's a sub base in Groton, but
Yeah,
there is a base in like Kittery.
Cherry. That's it right there. Yeah, he said he loved it.
I mean, if you
So
like the cold,
yeah,
then
if you like
it's
the
all right.
cold.
Yeah.
So what made you're up in Maine, so what made you want to join the Navy?
Really, it was the fact there's to do up there. I didn't want to go to school anymore. I was done with school. I didn't want to go to college, and I wouldn't even known what to go to college for. So I was just like, my only option to get out was, it just seemed like it was the military. So my dad was prior military, so was my aunt. So I figured I'd just follow in their footsteps and join.
You ain't want to go catch lobsters?
I did not. It's not the life for me. Not
Uh,
the life for me.
um, do you remember when you got the MEPS? What jobs they offered you?
You know, so in high school, not everybody pays great attention to their ASVAB scores. So I was one of those. I didn't do very well on my ASVAB, so it was the basic ones. It was the undesignated stuff, the OS, the BM, the CS, the
Hmm.
LS, stuff like that. But then I whole, oh, if you want to pick what you want after you get there, why don't you go in undesignated? So that's what I did.
That's what you did. So you
I
go
know.
in as an undesignated seaman. The crew's like, hey, you can pick when you get there.
I was like, oh, that sounds great.
Yeah,
Experience
yeah.
it, go to different departments and learn it and see if I want to do it. Yeah, no, wasn't the case.
So you go in as an undesignated seaman, and you get to you go to, of course, you go to Great Lakes.
Yeah.
Grad,
Yep.
well, that was like ATD training. That was like, well, about a few months, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah. Well,
training a few months.
I enlisted in my junior year, so I did the delayed entry program.
Wow, you
So
listen
I was
junior
in
year.
the
Damn.
yeah. So I was enlisted for about like a whole year before I even left anywhere. So
Wow. Oh man, yeah, listening your junior year. Wow, that's crazy. I know when
yeah,
I was recruiting
trying
like
to
that,
fill
it's
out.
like, man, we don't even keep you in the late entry program that long.
Yeah, and of course I
But
had to wait
wow.
till I was 18. I turned 18 on July 21st, and then I left on July 28th to go to boot camp.
Okay. All right. Man, that's a long time. Ooh.
Yes,
Well, you must be really want to get out of Maine if you listen to late entry program
I
that
was.
long.
I was like, yeah, there wasn't anything for me there.
Yeah. Um, do you remember Stecker on board? Do you remember him?
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
It was it OS. I had put him in the Navy. I put him in the Navy, and he was in the late entry program for a long time. Shout out to Stecker.
Oh
And then
wow.
he actually had advanced computer electronic field, and he dropped out. He's like, I won't go work on a farm. So I guess he went and worked on the farm. And then he came back. He was like, yeah, it didn't work out. I was like, man, you can't and he had like a $12,000 bonus that come with that. And
Right.
then we put him in as an OS. He's OSCS now. I shout out to Stecker though. But yeah, that's one of them guys that was in the delayed entry program forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
I
you
mean, it was okay.
Yeah, but you lasted a long. That's a long time for real. You as a recruiter, and I don't know why I went recruiting twice. I don't know why I went recruiting twice. I didn't want to go recruiting, but I went there. But usually when people stay in the late entry program that long, they just don't last that long. Because
I
other
know they
factors
and
come into
usually end
play.
up changing their mind.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah,
you stayed in there. You stayed tough in there because you must be really
I
wanting to get
did.
out of there.
Absolutely.
So you from boot camp, you go to ATD training, you come out there, and then you get stationed at Navy Cargo Handling and Port Group, NCHB
Yeah.
one. All right, what was that? What'd you do there?
So that is a cargo handling battalion.
Hmm.
They take both active duty and like reservists that do their drills and all that stuff. Um, so what we did is we offloaded cargo from ships, like the MSC ships, the big ships that come in with all the cargo
Oh, okay,
containers,
yeah,
the
yeah.
ones that
Hmm.
carry all the vehicles, the helicopters. Um, we go and we offload those.
Okay, all right. So that was like shore duty. That was shore duty, right?
It was. It was.
Shore duty. And where was that at?
That was in Williamsburg, Virginia.
Williamsburg, Virginia. Okay, all right.
Yep. Yep. In the middle of
How's it
nowhere,
like?
but
I think I've been to Williamsburg one time. How was Williamsburg? Williamsburg is okay, right?
yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
there's not a whole lot to do
Mm-hmm.
because it's kind of out of the city. But if you like the country and the quiet, it's great.
Yeah. So you were stationed there for 2 years. All right. And did you leave there a seaman or third class, or did you strike bosun's mate there?
No, I struck bosun mate there. It was like a BMSN before I, left.
Left.
But it
Okay.
wasn't until I got to the ship that I made third.
Okay. So from the cargo handling unit, you went to the USS George Washington for
Yes.
3 years. So you go to a carrier. So how was it like being on a carrier? And when you get there and you see the ship for the first time, you've seen big ships before, but now you're stationed on one. So how'd you feel?
It was it was a little overwhelming. The carriers are they're huge. They're just a
Yeah.
city in themselves. So it was hard to get used to. And this was my first time really going on deployments. I traveled with the cargo handling battalion, but we always travel via plane to wherever we're going. So
Right.
this, you travel, you're on board, you're just there for your whole deployment. So but it was good. I loved the carrier life. It was just an experience where you never see the same person every day. Like there's always somebody new, so it was just fun. And I just learned a lot from it.
We had, um, I forget, I think I was on a portal. We had a fireman go over to one of the carriers. I can't remember. And he said all he did, because I mean, how do you keep up with so many people on the carrier? And he said, all I went to the repair lock and I slept most of the day. How do you keep up with so many people? That's crazy on that ship. That's got to
Yeah.
be crazy.
It's a lot. Like, I mean, half the time you can't even really find people in your own department. You're looking for somebody, and deck department is broken out into different divisions. So, different divisions are normally different sections of the ship. So you're walking the whole ship sometimes trying to find people.
Walking the whole ship.
The
Like
leadership and
walking
stuff.
3 football fields.
Yeah,
Walking three
yeah,
football fields to find somebody. That's
right.
crazy.
Right. And the leadership, they have the radios, so
Mhm.
you could get a hold of them, but trying to find somebody, like, no, it was hard.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So you were stationed on there for 3 years. So did you advance to BM3, BM3 there,
I did.
BM2? Okay. BM3 or
No,
BM2?
I didn't make BM2 there. It was only 3.
Is the next command you made BM2?
Yeah,
Man, you was on your way. So from George Washington, you did 3 years there. Did you do the deployment with them?
I did. Yeah,
Wow. They
my
don't,
very first one.
carriers don't hit that many ports, do they?
No, they don't, because they're so big that they can't pull into a lot of places. So even the ones that we
Yeah.
did pull into, we had to anchor out and have Liberty boats come and get us.
Hmm.
So it's a slow
And
process.
you had to
And
probably need a cruiser Liberty boat to take all. I remember we pulled in port. I think we pulled into Turkey on one of my ships, and the carrier was out there. I was like, "Damn, look at that Liberty boat! That's a damn luxury liner they're using as a
yeah,
Liberty boat. All them people they had to pull in, you know.
yeah. And of
That's
course, being in deck
crazy.
department, we not only had to work while people were going on Liberty, because we're the ones that set up the brow and stuff for people
Yeah,
to get off onto the ship. So we did get our Liberty, but we also had to do a lot of work too. So
yeah, man. All the bosses mates they be busting their tail, and I remember my first ship, before the Navy got minimum man, there were more boatswain's mates than engineers. I mean, they was all over the place. There were so many seamen, and they
yeah,
did all the topside peak preservation. I mean,
yeah,
my first ship, we didn't even. The only time we went topside to really paint was the stacks for the GTMs for the engines. But other than
oh
that, the
yeah,
boatswain's mates did everything, man. I mean, there was a bunch of them, bunch of
oh
them.
yeah. No, we were huge. It was a huge department.
But so you made on a George Washington. You made BM3. BM3, you transferred, correct?
Hmm.
You
Yeah, I
transferred
went back to the
back.
cargo
Yeah.
handling battalion.
What? So you chose to go back?
Well, okay, so I didn't technically choose to go back. I was married at the time when I left the George Washington, and it was a horrible relationship. But he called my detailer, because he was also a BM, and said, "Hey, get her back here." So it wasn't totally my choice, but I also didn't hate it at the same time, because it was a great
so
command.
you said, so you said your husband called the detailer and said, "Hey, get her back here."
Yeah, at the time, that's what he did.
Wow.
Apparently, I don't know. It was, yeah.
That's yeah, wow. And you can call, but he must be had some pull. Usually
I mean,
detail.
he would,
Why can't I have pull right? Why can't I have pull like that? It's like I always get screwed over, and then I was like, man, honey, go ahead and call a detailer for me.
yeah, I don't know. I think he was a first class at the time, and I was only like
Yeah.
a third. So I don't know. But I ended up going back. We got a divorce, of course.
Hmm.
Um, but it's a great command. I made second there, and it's the only place that I know of anyway that you can deploy to Antarctica and get the Antarctic Service Medal. So
You got the Antarctic Service Medal?
I do.
Oh wow. Well,
Yeah.
Antarctica. How was that deployment going to Antarctica?
Cold.
Yeah, I
Very cold.
bet.
But it was a great experience. We have to stop in New Zealand. That's kind of where we get all of our cold weather gear and all that stuff for Antarctica. And then we board a military plane that brings us from New Zealand and lands on the ice in Antarctica. And then we stay at the McMurdo station.
What was that station like? Does it have all the comforts of a regular base? I mean, pretty much everything inside. I mean, if you go outside, I'm pretty sure it's freezing.
It is cold, but kind of what makes up for it, it's daylight all the time. So you go out at 2 o'clock in the morning and the sun is shining. So, it's a little
For
different,
real?
but it
It's,
looks, yeah.
the sun always shining. That's crazy.
Yeah, they go through their dark period, starting, I think it's like in February every year. They go
Hmm.
into their dark period, which is when we always had to be out of there. So we would go for a few weeks at a time, and then you have to make a total of 30 days in Antarctica in order to get the medal. So I went twice, but they
Wow.
normally make sure we're out of there before it goes dark. So
Hmm. Before it goes dark. I mean, when it
yeah,
goes dark, I mean it's dark.
yeah, it's dark.
Damn, that's crazy. Well, and I had, I had a guy. I remember I was recruiting. He came in there and he said he was stationed in Adak, Alaska, and he said people was going crazy because of the it gets dark for a certain amount of time, and he said people
Yeah,
wasn't used to that. And he said it's going nuts
yeah,
because
yeah.
the sun wasn't coming up. But
Yeah,
that's
and I
crazy
can
because
see
you
that. I
got
mean,
the
you go down there, and I mean, they have barracks. They have small facilities. They have their own bar. So a lot of people definitely drink
oh
down there. They
can't
have
can't
a bar,
can't have a Navy base without a bar.
you know, so, but
uh, you
it was a good
And that's the
experience.
thing. They gonna put a board here. I'm pretty sure just like an eight, the dude said eight I can last. He's like, oh, that's what everybody did. They drink.
Yep.
Oh man. But yeah, Antarctic Service Medal. That's crazy. Not a lot of people got. I mean, that's a rare. To hear somebody have something like that. That's like
Yeah.
somebody coming up. I got a Purple Heart.
Right. Right. And I always got asked when I was wearing my ribbons, like, "What's that ribbon?"
What is
So,
that? All right. So you stay there for 3 years. You stay there for 3 years, and you know your 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 ex is stationed there as well, right?
yeah. But he ended up leaving. Um,
Oh,
and
okay.
then he ended up getting divorced anyway. So after
Okay.
that, it
So
was
I'm like, yeah, that's crazy.
he wasn't
Staying
there the
at the
whole
same
time.
man. Okay. All
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I was like, man, that'd have been kind of strange, like seeing her every day. Okay.
yeah, yeah. No,
So,
he was. But while I was there, I did a 6 month deployment to Kuwait. So I did 6 months
you
there, staying in like a tent camp. So,
now when you went to Kuwait, you say you was in a tent camp.
yeah, so basically, you just live in
You
tents.
you you didn't venture out into the city because I remember I was on a Halliburton. We pulled into Kuwait, the country we liberated, and you can't even go out in town, because hey, we can't go out in town because it's too dangerous. I'm like, damn, we
Right.
liberated them. What do you mean? It's like, yeah, you go out there, you probably get killed.
Yeah. I mean, we did venture out a couple times because we to go to Schwa, which was another base where the ships came into that we had to travel to offload them.
Mm-hmm.
So we did travel daily, and then we traveled. I did a reenlistment at the embassy in Kuwait, so we traveled for that as well. But other than that, like it's just strictly business.
That's strictly business. No, y'all didn't go out there for liberty, walking around, sightseeing, and all that stuff, right?
Nope, we had to
No.
stay in our tent camp, Camp
Same thing.
Patriot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You liberate a country. You can't even go outside. That's crazy. I'm like, man, we liberate this country, and you mean we can't go out on liberty? She was like, nope. You go out there, you probably get your head chopped off.
Yep.
Yeah. So you stayed there for 3 years. So you left there a BM2.
Yes.
So you left there a BM2, and you go to another carrier, the JFK, and you decommed her. So you was only there for 1 year. Was they
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
in the decommissioning process?
Yeah. So in Kuwait, I was negotiating for orders and I was trying everything I could just to get to Florida. I'm like, I'm tired of Virginia. I just want to get somewhere else. So the only thing they had in Florida was a decom. But I was like, I'll take it, So I went down there and went on that. We had one underway before they decommed, which was to Boston for like their farewell sailing.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we came back to Mayport and then started the decommissioning of it.
And I forgot what ship I was on, and I was trying. Yeah, I think I was. I was just coming out of recruiting in North Carolina, and I was trying to get down to Florida. It's like they got like a hold on the spot on the billets there. I mean, somebody got to get out before you get in there. And it's like,
Right.
I'm like, man, I'm a damn sea chief. I know there got to be one ship down there that need me. I don't care if it's deployed or what. I just want to get to Florida just one time. I do not want to go back to Norfolk. You can't send me back to Norfolk. They sent me back to Norfolk.
It happens, I got down there, but then guess where I ended up afterwards? Right back in Virginia. So
Right back in Virginia, man. I tried. Oh, it's like, man, I gotta escape Norfolk. I can't go back there. Ended up
yeah,
right back in Norfolk. I even
yeah,
tried to call CMCs, try to pull something just to get me on there. Couldn't get there. But
it's
so you
hard.
go there. Yeah, it's hard. It's like, man, they got a lockdown there. So you go to decom the Kennedy. From the Kennedy, you go to the Roosevelt, a DDG, not the carrier, but a DDG
Not the
80.
fair. Yep.
So this is your first small boy. How'd you like the change from being on the big deck to being on a small boy?
Um, it was an adjustment for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The obviously is the job isn't as much. It's not as big. But the thing I didn't like about the small boy life is just, you do see the same people every day and, people you don't like, they're going to get on your nerves, and you still got to see them every day. But on the other hand, with the people that you do get along with, you do build like this great relationship with people. So there's pros and cons to it.
So you was on here from 2007 to 2008. So why? Well, you had sea time from the Kennedy going into the Roosevelt. So that's why you had a short time stay there.
No, I ended up pregnant, so I ended up having to leave
Oh.
the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I found out it was a few months before like a deployment and stuff, and I found out, but I had been still getting underway, and I planned on staying up until the 20 weeks but myself and another female that were both pregnant, we were on and underway, and I started having cramps or whatever, so they flew me off the ship along with this other girl because they didn't want to have the same issues with her either. So, and
Yeah.
then yeah, after that, I never went back to the ship, just to check out or whatever. But, I ended up at Naval Station Mayport.
Naval Station Mayport. You made it down there. It's from 2008 to 2010. So what'd you do there?
I worked at the career counselor's office on base. I
Mm-hmm.
started basically at like a facilities place as a BM. We just took care of the grounds and stuff
Yeah.
for the base, and then I started to want to convert rates. So they put me into the career counselor's office, and then I started learning the whole career counselor world. I made BM1 while I was there.
Wow.
And
Okay.
then converted. I was like, I'm not going back to the ship as a BM again. I'm like, I'm done. So I had started to enjoy, the career counselor life. So I'm like, let me convert. So I converted.
Converted. All right. Converted from BM1. Now you're NC1.
Yep.
I think there was like one NC2, you know, fleet career counselor I knew about, but everyone I've ever known, they were usually an NC1.
Yeah. It happens that you get NC2s, but
Mm-hmm.
they have a lot of NC1s because basically as soon as you finish that counselor school, you're on your own. You're going to a ship and stuff by yourself. So they want you to have that knowledge and stuff to be able to survive.
Yeah, yeah. So from the Roosevelt was the Roosevelt in Norfolk.
No, it was in Mayport.
It was a Mayport, so you did get down to Mayport. Lucky you. So then you got stationed down at Naval Station Mayport. Worked at the career counselor office. Cross rated to NC. NC became a Navy career counselor, and oh boy, first ship USS Forrest Sherman.
Yes.
USS Forrest Sherman. Oh man.
I was like,
And
wow. So it was a shock because I'm like, I knew that it was probably coming where I'd have to go to a small boy and be on my own. But when I
mm-hmm.
saw those orders, I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, man. You was in. I figured you be in Mayport, blam. You know, then you'll rotate to Mayport, but then they send you to Norfolk, Virginia. Trying to stay away from Norfolk, Virginia. Then you end up at Norfolk, Virginia on the
Yep.
USS
Yep.
Forrest
Right
Sherman.
back there.
But yeah, I mean, basically, okay. As with most ships I've been on, the NC1 is basically their own division.
Yeah.
Your own division. I know one NC1 that was the LPO of the admin department because they didn't have a first class there or whatnot. But other than that, I mean, it's basically you on your own and you managing your thing, your division, career
Yeah.
council division.
Um,
Did you do
we
anything outside of
technically
that?
say that again.
Did you do anything outside of career counseling? I know you was on like you had some like collaterals on there. I think on a folk show.
I did. I did. So I did the career counselor thing. I had my own divisional departmental career counselors and stuff. Technically
Mm-hmm.
I did fall under admin, but basically I took care of my own stuff.
Yeah.
But I did have collaterals. I was part of the VBSS team for a while. The boats, the boat every now and then.
Damn, I never saw you in the camis, but yeah, you was on VBSS. Wow.
Yeah, I did the. I was on like. It was only a few times that they had me drive the boat, but I did do it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because I had that Cox and Qual as a BM, so
Yeah, that's
why
right.
not use
That's
it?
right. So, so as command career counselor, I mean, there are like some like horror stories, about sailors, that you got to be like in the combat zone to get, your pay, your bonus tax free or this, that. You got any horror stories? Anything, just, like, because you got to be on your toes because if something slip by, I mean, it's gonna blow up. And that's the thing
Mm-hmm.
about you don't really got nobody really looking out for you because you have to be on point with everything. So
Yeah, I
anything
was
that really
no point of failure.
slipped by you that you was like, oh my gosh, I didn't do that.
Um, you know, I don't know if anything really slipped by, but I did when I got to the ship. They flew me out to the ship because you guys were already on deployment. But I came into that PTS horror show, where people
Oh
were
my
getting
goodness.
kicked out. The
Yeah.
good sailors were having to leave.
Hmm.
So I came in on the back end of that. So stuff that had previously been done and submitted and stuff, and people were having to get out. It ended up happening on my watch.
Hmm.
So I ended up taking the brunt of a lot of stuff that was happening and all these sailors leaving when really it happened before me. But I'm the career counselor now, so I'm responsible for it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard trying to keep track of everybody and keep everybody happy. In regards to the bonuses and stuff, we always had to know when we were going into tax zone. So we'd get all these reenlistments going and SRBs submitted and all that stuff. But then, if somebody fell out of the zone, they weren't eligible to reenlist, and then they miss out on all this money.
Yeah.
So I think there was at least one. I think that happened to. I don't remember who it was for, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
a lot. You in control of everybody's careers on that ship.
Yeah. Yeah. One person, and then you, of course, you got your, divisional career counselors. I can't remember
Yeah,
who was it for. I think it was either Coleman or McSwain. I can't remember, but I know she did a real good job because she was always on point with
yeah.
stuff I ain't even. I'm like, damn, I didn't even know that.
Mm-hmm.
So you really had to
Yep.
count on your divisional career counselors a lot to
Absolutely.
feed you information of what
Yep.
was going on. But basically, that was your division right there.
It was. You interviewed Voiton a while ago, and he was one of the best ones that I
Yeah,
had too.
that's right,
He was really good.
Voiton. That's right,
Yeah.
Voiton. That's who it was. Voiton was smart. Anyway, I was like, God, you sound like an NC. I mean, he took that because I think we talked about it when I talked about it on his podcast. He took
Yep.
it to heart. I mean, he studied up on everything, PRDs, and he would come to quarters. I'm like, God dang, you sound like a freaking NC. But that's a
Yep.
good thing for you because I mean,
Oh
he
yeah,
made sure
he's
everybody
great.
got re-enlisted. I mean, he was awesome. I'm like, gosh, man,
Yeah.
but Boyton's smart.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
I wish everybody had been like him because everything kind of would have been pretty smooth. So, but
yeah. So I remember because you was at every reenlistment. I remember the reenlistment. You was with Stegman and his dad was trying to remember the reenlistment oath, and I think he
yeah,
snatched it out your hand, and he just
I
started
remember
reading it.
kind of throwing it next. I remember that. I remember that. Yeah, and
Oh
what? It's
God.
funny because a lot of that it happens a lot. People think that they know the reenlistment verbiage, and then they get up there and they just kind of freeze. So
Yeah.
I always make sure I have either, the oath with me or I'm standing close so I could like whisper it to them as they finish it. So,
Let's go when when you're front, you think you because you heard it so many times, and then when you get in front of people, then you start saying it, and then you look at the people, and then it just leaves your mind. And I did it one time. I was like, hey everybody, I'm gonna read it. I know it, but I'm gonna read it, so I
yeah.
won't look like a fool up here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come off sounding like an idiot.
Right.
But yeah, that was funny. That was real funny.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. And you was always up there handing out the awards. I guess you used to help them with the awards a lot. I seen you up there sometimes with admin.
Yeah, I did. Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Definitely
So
had like the orders and stuff on the flight deck, whenever I'd help them hand out stuff.
yeah, so you did 3 years on faux show. and then from Forrest Sherman, you go to Commander Fleet Activities, Japan. Did you
Yep,
want to go overseas to
I did.
Japan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you take your
Um,
did you take your family?
yeah. So that's the reason I ended up going is because I was married again for the second time.
Hmm.
And he
Well, Joe,
was
Joe,
up
trust me, I
for
got a number of those too.
it happens. Um,
Yeah.
he was a corpsman and he was up for sea duty, and they offered him Japan. Um, so we talked about it and we're like, yep, let's go. So they had me as the base career counselor at Sasebo, Japan, and he was on one of the ships out there.
Hmm.
So we went out there, and I had a son at the time. So he was 3, just turned 4 once we got there.
Hmm.
We all just packed up and went.
Wow. And I've always heard good things. I haven't really heard anything bad about Japan. Everybody
Mm.
always has good things to say about Japan.
Yes, Japan. I mean, Japan's amazing. Initially we had a 3-year tour. We ended up extending for another year, so we ended up spending 4 years over there. And
Hmm.
even at that point, we didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
I tried to get like, I got it. So yeah, we wanted to stay. The culture, the food, the environment, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. I was like, man, and when you think back on it, when I think back on it, I was like, man, I should have opened my horizons instead of Norfolk freaking Virginia. I tried, but I always ended up back at Norfolk freaking Virginia. So, Commander Fleet Activities Japan, 2013, 2017, 4 years. And then you transfer to HM15. Where's that located?
That's back in Norfolk.
Back in Norfolk, of course.
Came back. So yeah, I made chief over in Japan.
Yeah, yeah, let me go back to that. Let me go back to that right there. All right. So you make chief. You make chief in Japan. All right. So okay, how did you find out? Did they read the results, or how did you find out you made chief?
I found out from a phone call that woke me up from my sleep. So I mean, because the time difference,
Hmm.
the results come out, and then in Japan we're in bed. So I ended up getting a phone call from the base CO, congratulating me that I made chief. So
Okay. All right. Phew. So did you go? Did you have many to go through the season where you was at?
so like for CS alone, we didn't have very many, but what they would do is they would combine with some of the shifts. So that like the minesweepers and stuff that are out there, they would kind of join in with us to make the group a little bit bigger. So we did
Yeah.
go through, a few people. It wasn't, huge, but it's bigger than maybe like the 4, 5 or so that we had just at
Yeah.
CFAS.
Yeah, because the more the merrier, the more to take the
Yeah,
brunt,
exactly.
brunt of the punishment instead of, only a few of you in the chief mess with a whole bunch of chiefs, taking their shots.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So you selected for chief, got pinned. Now, you know, how long was you at NC1 at during that time? How long were you a first class?
So I was a first class about 3 of the 4 years that I was out there.
3 to 4 years. So how when you made chief at that command, how did things change? All right, did you of course become LCPO of the department, or what changed?
Um, Actually, not a lot changed for me because I was already in my negotiation window. They already
Hmm.
had somebody that was set as LCPO, so I wasn't gonna get involved with that. I was basically on my way out anyway. So
Yeah.
I just did my time, um, still as the base career counselor, but I also was training a relief as the person that was going to be relieving me wasn't going to come until like a while after I had left. So
Oh,
I was
really?
training at MA2 to kind of be the NC1 after I left. So
Okay. You as the base CEO, are you for the base, just for the base, right?
yes, just for the base.
But how many people? But how many people?
Um, it was quite a few. I mean, it was over 200, so maybe 250. Because we had
Hmm.
all of the MA department. We did have some CBs. We had people that worked like the port ops side or harbor patrol. So there was still quite a few people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a lot of people. I mean, it's almost like a ship, basically, almost.
Yeah, it is.
So, and so from Japan, you went back to Norfolk. HM15. What's HM15? What is that?
It a Hilo squadron,
Helo
but
Squad.
it's for the mine, the MH-53s, the mine
Mhm.
helos, the ones that
Yeah.
find the mines and stuff like that. It was, yeah, one of those. So the big boys.
Okay. So you went to HM15 back in Norfolk as the, career counselor, correct?
Yep.
Career counselor. Um, so you're here for 3 years. So at this point, what made you decide to, say, hey, I think it's time for me to retire? What made you do that?
Um, I started not wanting to come to work. Um, I started getting exhausted and not enjoying what I was doing anymore. So
I know, I know, I know the feeling. I know the feeling because I always told somebody, I was like, if I come to work and I really start bitching, I mean, I start, bitching like a fireman, then I think it's time for me to go home,
yep,
and you know, after, not saying Forrest Sherman was a bad ship, but I really started bitching a lot.
right, yeah,
I really started bitching. I was like, yeah, it's time for me to go home. Have them see me carry on like this. So yeah, that's when I decided to retire. But I understand you, so you just got, you just got exhausted. That,
yep, it is.
and with you, man, you got to deal with, not just you don't have a division to deal with. You got to deal with every single person on the ship.
Yeah,
From the
and
C, I
I
mean,
mean,
from the C, and you gotta brief the CEO and the XO about all kinds of different things as well. So you got to deal with them too.
yeah. And you work, basically directly with the CMC or for the CMC, so you're always keeping, them informed of everything.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's exhausting. It really was.
People, dealing with people, it exhausts you a lot, a lot. And eventually, yeah, I guess it was that time. So you was married at the time. Was your husband still in the Navy?
He had retired while we were in Japan. So he retired from the ship, came back to Virginia to process out, and then came back to Japan basically as a dependent until it was time for me to leave.
Okay, all right, all right. So he's hanging out with you.
Yeah, I mean, he worked at the, MWR gym on base, so he was.
Say, yeah, that's the life. Oh yeah, that's the life right there. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I'd like to do that.
Yeah.
so so from 1815, you decided to try. Did you have a ceremony and everything?
No, I got out right in the beginning of COVID. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so I was due to start terminal leave, I think, in May of 2020, and then COVID kind of started in February timeframe ish. Um, so really, I just had an extended terminal leave.
Hmm.
I had NC1 underneath me, and had pretty much trained them, they were good to go. And then I had just had a relief come in. So I really didn't even go to work. I was on terminal, basically, but yeah. So I mean, I couldn't do anything.
Yeah. So like, you said you put in for your retirement. When you actually got that paper back and it said, "Hey, your retirement has been approved." How did that make you feel?
Both amazing and scared at the same time because you have
Yeah,
that paper, like it's your end date, like you're coming to an end of your career, and so you're now like, now what? You know,
yeah,
I didn't,
yeah,
being a counselor, the steps and how to prepare yourself for when you get out, because it's part of your job. It.
yeah.
Um, but still, the process is nerve wracking because you get out and you're like, am I going to get this job? That to get my foot in the door. Am I going to have issues? Is my resume good enough? So you have
I
some of
know
the
the
same
feeling.
thoughts going through your head.
Oh yes. Oh, most definitely. Oh my gosh. Damn, I was like, and I really wanted to do. I was probably gonna go to 26. I was gonna go to 26, but the wife was like, "Man, it's time for you to, it's time for you to hang it up, buddy." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?" But I
Yeah.
did say, like if I, start a bit, I think it's time for me to leave. So yeah, and that's what because I didn't want, like, damn boy, I see a chief over there bitching. You can't have a damn
Right.
chief over there bitching. So I was like, yeah, it's time for me to go. But I know, man, I was like, God damn, you know, and I thought I had everything, mapped. I mapped out everything. I had spreadsheets. I had all kinds of stuff. But of course, nothing goes the way you planned it.
No, no,
Had
not at all.
resumes all out the yin yang.
Yeah, and when I got out and COVID was happening, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to get a job. Like, people aren't going to be hiring during this time. I thought I was going to be screwed. I was like, what am I going to do? But it ended up working out anyway. So
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So when you got that you got that final papers that said, hey, you into the fleet reserves. How'd you feel? It was like, I mean, that's it. It's a wrap.
yep,
How'd
it's
you
wrapped.
feel then? How'd you feel then? What was you thinking?
Um, that I'm ready for the next chapter. Um, I'm like, this is what I did my career for. I did 22 years, and I'm like, all to make it to this point. I had
Hmm.
finally made it, and I was just ready to just find something new in my life.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's like, I know. I know one thing. I do not want to see another gas turbine engine in my life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah.
Yeah. So what did you get into when you got out?
So when I got out, I ended up so July 1st, I was still on terminal leave, but I ended up getting a contracting job working at for security forces as the admin assistant. So I
Hmm.
was able to kind of double dip at that moment, still get the active duty pay and get
Yeah,
contractor
yeah.
pay at the same time for about a month.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so I did the admin assistant thing for almost a year there. And then I ended
Okay.
up getting another contracting job at Portsmouth Naval Hospital.
Oh,
So
Portsmouth
that was
Naval
my
Hospital.
intro to civilian world.
So what'd you do at the Naval Hospital?
I was basically was a management assistant there. I worked in the epidemiology department, and I was kind of working for them and scheduling stuff for them, doing stuff for them. It's another admin assistant job, but
Hmm.
for the hospital people.
Nav admin doesn't leave your blood, huh?
Yeah, yeah. And then I mean I only stayed there. I think I stayed there for like maybe 6, 7 months.
Hmm.
And then I ended up getting a GS job back at Center for 34. So that's where I am now.
Okay. And you say I remember I was talking to you. You say you was on travel, so you got to be on travel with this job.
So what I do is I do the manning and manpower for both military and civilians for Center for Security Forces.
Hmm.
So I tend to travel to kind of like they have assessments that they do.
Hmm.
So I tend to do the admin, the N1 portion of their assessment, and then also do their manpower and piece of it while I'm there too. So we have
Okay.
14 sites in total. So I tend to travel every now and then.
Okay. All right. So I guess you're liking that your GS job. I just talked with Nixon. Nixon getting a GS job up in. I think he's up in Maine. I think he is.
He is in
But
Maine
you got a GS job
or
now.
New
Yeah,
Hampshire.
he is in
Is he
Maine,
in
right?
New? Yeah,
Yeah. So you got a GS job now. So all right.
me
So
too.
you married, kids?
Mm-mm. So I got a divorce again. In
Man, man,
20.
man, 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 man. You are you trying to get to my number?
Two. I'm done at two.
I was like, God damn, boy, you getting to my number.
Yeah, two, and I
I'm
mean,
I'm
I've
on three. I was on three. I was like, God damn it. So it must be me.
been. So yeah, I got divorced in 2021, and then
Uh-huh.
ever since then it's just been me. And I have my son, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
every
I seen your son on Facebook. He pretty how old is he?
he just turned 15 last Tuesday.
Okay, okay, yeah. So I saw he's an older guy now. So you got to
Yeah,
deal. He's almost because when I got out, my kids was my son. He was still in freaking diapers, and I remember on my first ship, I teased this HT1 that retired, and he just had he just had a kid when he about to retire. And I don't mean I tease on like, bang, you ain't gonna have no retirement. And look at me retiring with my son in diapers and stuff like that. So I was, and, I thought back on that. And I was like, boy, I tell you, boy, it comes around. What comes around goes around.
absolutely, absolutely. And I was lucky. Like once I retired, he was basically on his own anyway. He's old enough to do things on his own or whatever. So, when I got out, I was like, man, like this is great.
And that
So
was the best way to do it, you know, on, on my first ship when my friends, they had their kids on their first ships, and those that, that retired, when they retired, their kids was like, going to the military, or they was going to college, or they was on their own, and they,
yeah,
could focus on themselves, they didn't have to focus on the kids anymore.
yeah.
But that was ad. I was like, wow, man, you lucky. Uh, so one last question: any is one or two pieces of Navy career? Is there one or two pieces of Navy career counselor advice you could give to our active sailors out there? What would it be?
Um, I think it would be to put your whole heart into the job. Because if you don't, I mean, you're taking care of other sailors that really have no idea what they're doing. You're their
Hmm.
only point of contact. So you have to want to help them and be their advocate. It it's hard work, but also rewarding. If you
Hmm.
take care of sailors, they come back and they respect you so much. They come back and say thank you. And you help them get the orders you want. They say thank you. So I think it's just, make sure you know your stuff. Make sure you're constantly updated on everything that's changing. Um, and just do everything that you can because they'll appreciate it.
All right, all right. Now it's our time right now. What we do a shipmate shout out. You can shout out any shipmate that you want on here, someone that helped you, anyone. This floor is yours.
Um, I think I'm gonna have to send a shout out to Shavella Bailey. She was my rock on deployment, and she's what got me through.
Chief Warrant
So
Officer,
she
right? Was that
no,
Chief Warrant?
she
No.
made she made senior chief. Because she was the MA1 on board, and
Oh, okay. I know you're talking about now. I know you're talking. MA1, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
yeah, MA1. Okay, yeah. Quick with
yep,
that
yep,
pen, boy. Quick with that pen.
yes, yes, yes. She
Yeah.
was my sidekick. Everywhere we were together. She made it easier to get through the deployment because I mean that was the first time I'd left my son. So it was particularly hard for me.
Hmm.
But she was my rock. So.
Shout out to Savella Bailey out there. I hadn't seen her in a while. You keep in touch with her?
I have. Last time I talked to her, she's in South Carolina, I think.
Hmm.
She was working on some tribal reservation and stuff, but she was doing good.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. That's good. That's good to hear. All right. But anybody else? Anybody else?
Um, I think if I had to, it'd be probably Master Chief Philpott. He was my NC mentor. He was an NCCM, and he was there as my go-to person. It's hard
Hmm.
when you're the only NC on board. So having somebody as a lifeline, it just it's everything. When you're by yourself. So he was my lifeline. So
Okay. All right. Well, Miss Bethany Hill, thank you for coming on Snipes Castle and sharing with us the trials and tribulations of being a Navy career counselor. But not only that, you was a boatswain's mate first. So
all right.
so boatswain's mate, like I got all kind of respect for them because I remember them dudes. I was like, God damn, they be killing them dudes. Them dudes was out there chipping and painting. They'd be out there on that anchor. I was like, I remember
Yeah.
one time we was underway, there's over the stuff, but they be doing some stuff. And then you never really know, till I really actually looked at it. And I was like, man, they do all kinds of stuff. I mean, from the forward end of the ship to aft end of the ship, you always got to include a boatswain's mate. So you was one of them for a long time. You made BM1. And
I did.
it's really, and I, and from my experience, it was like really hard to make, both made second and first class, because I never really knew anybody that went, one right after the other. So
Yeah.
when I know, I was like, man, you see a BMC or BM1 or BMC, I was like, man, he done paid his dues. He or she had paid his dues. But
Absolutely.
it was real good talking to you, real good serving with you. You was always a pleasure to be around. You always smiling on for you was one of the many people on Forrest Sherman that used to always smile, You know, and but let me tell you something. Out of all the commands you served on, which one was you think the most challenging? Short or sea duty? Which one was the most challenging?
It was the Forrest Sherman for sure.
Forrest Sherman. Forrest Sherman.
Yeah. I
Forrest
mean, my
Sherman was
first
a
command as a NC, I'm still learning and just got thrown out there by myself. So it was definitely the hardest.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Everybody always on there always spoke highly of you. I remember in the chief mess, they would say, NC1 got it. She got it. She good. Nobody ever spoke, bad about you or anything. They always had you in high regard. And I remember when the chief results came out, we thought Hale was gonna make it. We thought for sure Hale was gonna make it. I remember they saying that in the mess, you know. But they always was looking for you to come in there. But you made it. I found out a little late, but you made it. And it seems
I
like you're doing
did.
well now. All right. But like I said, the next time you get married, just make sure it stick, because you don't want to reach my number. You don't want to reach my number.
I'm enjoying the single life right now, so I think I'll stick with this for a while.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Just go ahead and stick with that.
Uh,
All right, Bethany, man. It's been good talking to you. All right.
you
All
as
right. Shout
well.
out to Navy Career Counselor Bethany Hale. You got to give her a shout out. All right, give her a shout out. Okay, let's take her out. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. Hey, enjoy the rest of your week. And I hope your son knows, because he grew up with you in the service. My kids grew up with me in the service. And they the thing is, they don't really know what you actually do. They know you wear a uniform. And then my son will come in here and he'll say, he's like, "Weren't you in the service, Dad?" And I got this big picture behind me.
Right.
So in the future, it's like, what my mom did. She did this video. Let me go look at her. And then, some of the amazing stuff you did. That's why, I interview you. Plus, I, just want to talk with people, that, and then, you find out a whole bunch of different things you never knew about them. So that's one reason I do it. But I thank you for coming on the show and joining us. And you have to continue on for the success. As a GS, you probably, what GS you at now? Where are you at now? 10, 11?
12.
12. Oh my gosh. That's damn commander. You damn that commander pay right there. I know for sure, because we used to deal with the GSs at MEPS. But yeah, you keep doing your thing there, Bethany Hale. It's good talking to you. Stay in touch. I will too. And continue to do good things out there. All right. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all for watching Snipes Castle. For those of y'all tuned in, showing the love out there. I see a whole bunch of hearts out there for Bethany Hale. All right. Everybody have a good weekend, and we'll see you next time.
Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. That's what they say. Hard work.